Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. All about nutrition from your favorite dietitian. Everything you need to digest in your mind. Tips with Tony. Tips with Tony. Making you healthier one bite at a time. With Tony. Woo!
Hello, and welcome to the Tips with Tony podcast. I'm Tony Marinucci, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time. I know you're used to listening to my 10-minute or less tips with Tony. However, I'm going to share an interview with you that I did on my Instagram. I had Tara Ryan, a licensed social worker, interview me on her live page for her company, Young Brave Co. And it was in order to help her clients understand their possible emotional ties to their food and helping them to develop a better relationship with food. It's a little lengthy. It's about 30 minutes or so, but there's so much valuable content, and I couldn't miss the opportunity without sharing it with you. So I hope you enjoy this interview, and I'll talk to you after. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited you're here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm excited to have you next week, or is it 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, in 2 weeks. Yeah, well, why don't we go ahead and get started? We have some questions for you today. We'd like to learn a little bit more about you and what you do.
Sure.
So starting out, maybe you could just tell us a little bit about what made you want to be a dietitian? Like, what led you to this work? I love to hear people's stories.
Yeah, well, when I was younger, I was overweight. I was part of a Greek and Italian family where food was the main focus of everything. And it was love and it was abundant and we were blessed. But it also was something that led me to learn just not great ways of, like, not healthy ways of eating, like large portions, dessert after dinner almost every single night. Fast food, like all that stuff. And I played sports, and at a certain point, I was really good at playing basketball and volleyball, but I felt like my weight, because I was overweight, was really holding me back. So I decided to make small changes. Like, I started by cutting out fast food or just limiting the amount of when I had it. I would ask my mom to cook more vegetables so they were at dinner time, so I knew I was eating vegetables. Like, it started slow, and then what I noticed was, yes, I was playing better on the basketball court and on the volleyball court, and my athletic performance was improving and my energy was improving. But what, to my surprise, was I also struggled with insecurities and not having good self-body image issues and low self-esteem. And I noticed that was improving. I noticed that I started feeling more confident. I was just happier. I felt like I was smiling more. I was getting more attention, and I wasn't shying away from it. I was kind of like, yeah, I'm taking care of myself. This feels really good. And so after kind of going through that and realizing oh, there's something there, I decided to go to school to become a dietitian. I graduated, I have my master's in nutrition and dietetics, and I really just put myself all in to learn as much as I possibly could about this field of nutrition. And that's pretty much what led me to where I am today.
That's amazing. I love it. I think that a lot of us probably find that our personal experiences have led us to this work, to want that other people.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Great. Thank you for sharing. I really appreciate when people can be open about their stories too. That's awesome.
Yeah, my pleasure. I used to be afraid to talk about my insecurities and all that, but at this point I realized, people can relate, and everyone has something that they're struggling with. And if I hold back and don't say what I went through, they don't recognize, they're going to think they're all alone. And we're not alone in this world. We're not supposed to do anything alone. We're all human, and it's important to kind of open up. And I used to think I had to be perfect, and I couldn't let anybody in about knowing that I struggled with all of these things. But now, especially that I've overcame them, I'm shouting it from the rooftops. I'm you can do it. I did it. You can do it.
Yeah. Well, I think there's something too about, no matter what your goal is, if you find a way to overcome your insecurities about that goal and reach that goal, that it's just an amazing experience.
Yeah.
I think it just adds so much to yourself and who you are. And
it helps you define a little part of you. Every experience is a little part of you, for sure.
Yeah. And awesome that you're giving back now. That's so great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, so when clients reach out to you, what's the number one thing that they say when they reach out? Like when they email you and say, "Hey, Tony, I need help. Like want to meet with you." What is it that they want to talk to you about? What is it they want help with?
So they often say that they want to lose weight. And then they'll also just say, like, I just feel like this is the one thing that's kind of holding me back. Like, they feel like they can't do it alone and they really need someone to help kind of guide them forward. So my role with working with them is taking them from a place where they feel like they just keep spinning their wheels. They're in the same cycle and they've tried to get out. They've tried this diet. They've tried that diet. They've tried every workout program possible. They've done everything and yet they're still at the same place. And so they kind of come to me as like a last resort. I wish they didn't. I wish people would reach out sooner. Because then I got to fix everything. I got to fix their metabolism after they've done every yo-yo diet and crash diet and all that, But yeah, they kind of come to me when they're just like, all right, I've exhausted all options and I really just need a plan that's sustainable. Because a lot of people will start on something and they can't stick to it because it's not designed for them. It's not individualized to them. And my specialty is helping people find the best nutrition plan, exercise regimen, whatever it is for them, specific for their lifestyle, so they can stick to it for a lifetime. Because nutrition and exercise and that's just the beginning to a whole wonderful life ahead of you. Like, you can't possibly be your best self and even imagine the possibilities of what you can do with your life until you have your nutrition under control.
Yeah, that's amazing. And there are so many, I know I hear what you're saying about having to fix all of these things from previous attempts. There's so many extreme diet plans and ideas out there about how to lose weight and how to be healthy. And I love that you tailor it to each person, that there isn't this one size fits all. And it also sounds like, from what you're saying, it doesn't have to be so extreme.
No, actually the clients that do the best are the ones that understand from the beginning. I actually have an interview process before I even take on a client because I don't want my clients to fail. I want my clients to be successful, and I need to make sure that they're ready and they understand that each week, if their goal is weight loss, they're not losing 5-6 pounds a week. They're not. I'm telling them right up front. I'm telling them, I don't know how your body's going to respond to how we work together. You might lose 3 pounds. You might lose 2. You might not lose any, but the weight on the scale is not everything. And I let them know from the beginning that this is a lifestyle change. So in the past, you may have done a diet where you lost 10 pounds in 2 weeks, but then you gained it back. So if you continue that cycle, a year from now, you're at the same weight and you've made no progress. But if you take a different approach where we're working together, finding new habits and behaviors, developing new positive, healthy routines, and you maybe lose a half a pound, pound and a half each week, maybe you plateau a week, then you go down again, maybe you have a week up, but then you're down, and then you're down, and then you're down. A year from now, you've lost weight, and it's sustainable because it's literally designed for you and your lifestyle. So it might not happen as quickly, but it's going to stay. And I think that's really what I try to get people to understand, is that there's no quick fixes. Like anything in life, if you want something, you have to work for it, right? I'm sure you work with people who are struggling with depression and anxiety. We can't just fix it. It doesn't just fix itself. We have to work at it. And if we really want to see a change in ourselves, then we got to put the work in.
That's right. I always say to everybody, it's a process. Everything is a process. Nothing happens fast. But the process is also such a beautiful part. I mean, it's kind of what it's all about.
Because then it feels so good. When you hit that goal, if I have a lot of people who do a lot of heavy lifting within their, with exercise and fitness, and when they're able to lift more, when they're able to see their pant size go down, when they're able to realize that they have more energy to be with their kids, those are the things that matter. Right? When those things happen and the people around them recognize it, and then it's just a beautiful cycle of their relationships improve, they're getting raises at work. I can't even tell you how many of my clients have been promoted at their job because they show up and they're focused and they're no longer kind of just waiting for the clock for the day to end. There's so much more to it. My favorite quote ever is, it's not about the weight you lose, but the life you gain. And that's like the main thing that I really try to drive home to people, is that it's so much more than just a number on a scale.
Yeah, well, it does sound like that. It sounds like through becoming healthier, just creating healthier habits in life, that your clients are able to have like mental clarity.
Yep.
Energy. I think energy is a huge one, because how many of us, have felt that? Like, I just can't get up off the couch today. I feel too tired. And to have energy for life is like such an amazing experience.
Yeah. If you don't have energy for life, you're not really living.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Beautiful. So, well, I asked what clients ask you for help with. And I find in my work that clients will come to me saying, hey, look, I need help with this. And in our work together, we realize what they needed help with was something really different. And it surprises them a lot that like, oh, that's what was actually going on. And that's what was wrong in my life. Not this thing that, paying all this attention to. Do you find that happens for you? And what do people end up finding out that they need help with once they come to you?
So a lot of times, and I hate, so I'm not like a strict dietitian. So in the sense of like, I really do believe all foods fit, and there's a time and place for all foods. And there's some foods we should have some foods we should have more of, and some we should have less of. But a lot of times people are like, no, my nutrition's good. It's like, I just need like to be consistent. But then I take a deeper dive into their diet, and there's a lot of misconceptions out there. There's a lot of things that people think are healthy, or actually complete opposite. They're like removing a lot of foods from their diets. They're not eating a lot of things. They're not doing a lot of things because they heard that like grains are bad for you, or they heard that dairy's bad for you, or they heard that gluten's bad for you, or they heard they should be doing keto or paleo and like all this stuff. And they kind of like take everything that they hear and apply it, and it makes no sense.
And they're eliminating everything.
They're eliminating everything. They have nothing to eat, and it ends up being really imbalanced. So I would say the thing that I usually help people with the most is creating balance in their nutrition, but then that translates into balance in your life. So like one of my brand new clients, this week I had her eat more healthy foods and exercise less, and she lost 3 pounds. Okay. Because she was avoiding certain foods that she thought was quote unquote bad for you. So she wasn't really eating enough at all. And she was putting her body she was over exercising to a point where she was very inflamed. And when you're not eating enough, your body is like holding on to that, storing that fat. And our bodies are built for survival, right? So if we're not eating enough and we're exercising excessively, nothing's going to move.
Our bodies,
our bodies are trying to save us. They're there to protect us, right? But yeah, if, when you have 30, 40 pounds to lose and you're doing that and you're staying nowhere and you're working really, really hard and barely eating and you're starving, how does that make any sense, right? So I really get people to see like, okay, wouldn't it be amazing if you could reach your goal, lose the weight by doing less exercise and eating more? Like, it's just a matter, right? Like, doesn't that sound amazing?
Who's not on board with that?
Right, but it's like, you got to pick the right foods and you got to be strategic about it. And I'm not saying never exercise, and I'm not saying overeat it. I'm just saying we have to be smart, and it has to be balanced and reflective of your lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love your focus on balance. I just think that's so important. And I love what you said about how it sort of like leaks out into other parts of your life. Like you start to something in your life really balanced, and then it just sort of catches on, and then you start to realize like how much you overdo it in other ways. We have so much issue with overdoing things.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
that mindset of the all or nothing attitude never works.
Yeah,
never works. I just posted about this like 2 days ago, because I gave a talk in Vegas like a couple months ago, and I like took a snippet of my speech there. And I was explaining how if you're aiming for 100 and you're always at 100, you only can go down from there. Right. So like, give yourself some wiggle room, be compassionate with yourself, allow some room for growth and experimentation and life, because if you could reach your goal, but you're not happy, or you're drained in your relationships, you're suffering, or, things are going on. Yeah. Like, what's the point? Is your weight that important? Like, if you're stressing yourself out to get to a certain weight, is it really that important? Because your stress alone is terrible for the body, right? So we're trying to really try to get people to focus on, it's not so much about the weight, it's about your health. It's about taking care of the body that was given to you, being thankful that it's working in your favor, and if it's not working, that you have the control to fix it. And it's really just a matter of like, let me fuel my body the best that I possibly can and take care of myself the best that I possibly can, so I can show up for myself because I deserve it, and for the others around me because they deserve to have the best part of me. Like, one thing moms do so much, and I work with a lot of moms, is like they're always taking care of other people and they're never taking care of themselves first. But that's the old saying, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. You really got to get used to taking care of you. And part of that is doing things like eating healthy and exercising.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah. What I'm hearing you say too is that a lot of people come to you saying, hey, I need to lose weight. And then realizing the work that they're doing with you is, I need balance. I need overall health in my life.
Yeah. I need sleep. That's a big one.
Right?
I'm like, okay, so your nutrition and your fitness is great, but you're never sleeping. So that's why you're feeling stressed out and life's not working in your favor.
In the morning to work out when you didn't get any sleep the night before.
Yeah, it's so much harder.
Yeah.
So set yourself up for success.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I love that. So what would you say your mission is? Like, what is the message of your work?
My message is that you deserve more and you are more than you're treating yourself right now.
I love that.
Yeah. That you, and that you're in control.
Mm-hmm.
So like, you can change the trajectory of your life by taking care of you first and doing it in balance with nutrition, exercise, self-care, and just that powerful belief in yourself.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, that first thing you said, say it one more time. I just want everybody to hear that one more time.
That you are in control of your own life because you deserve it and you're worth it.
Yeah, you're worth it. I love that. Yeah, beautiful. I love it. Yeah. So if there's one thing, so I know like you work with clients for a long time. I'm sure there's a lot that you talk about together. There's a lot that you say to them and teach them. But if there was one takeaway, there was one thing that they could take away from their work with you, what would your hope be that is?
That food, because I work with a lot of people that struggle with emotional eating, and that like food is not there to control your life. Like, food is there for you to take control of your life, right? So it's not there to control your life, because a lot of times people are, it's like, when is my next meal? I shouldn't eat this. This food is bad. Oh my gosh, I overate. And their whole entire day and life is obsessed about food. Right. And food is not there for you to obsess about and have a negative relationship with. Food is there for you to nourish you, to give you pleasure in certain times, but not to be the cause of your feelings, not to be the thing that alters your mood.
Yeah.
It's there. We need to use it to help us, not to hurt us.
Yeah. So really, like, the biggest takeaway is developing a healthy relationship with food. So being able to enjoy it when it's meant to be enjoyed, but not using it in ways that are actually abusive to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's big stuff. That's powerful. I think probably most of us have something to learn in that area.
Yeah, we all do. I mean, our relationships with food are usually very, and you probably see this in your work, very much tied to, our childhood experiences, relationships with our parents. There's certain things like, my father, for example, like, we bonded over having ice cream together after dinner. So like, getting rid of that habit of always having something sweet after dinner, as I grew up, was like letting go of parts of bonding with my father. Like, it's a very much interconnected if you really take a deep dive and really look into it. So it might seem very surfacey, but usually it's not. The way we eat, what we eat, how we choose to eat is usually closely related to an emotion or an experience. And that's what we have to kind of recognize as like, okay, that was our past, and that may have been the case at one time, but that doesn't have to be how I react now to certain situations.
Right. And I imagine too, even just with your connection with your dad, that like maybe you have to come up with new ways to connect with family members
Right.
and have special feelings together
Yeah.
that maybe aren't centered around ice cream every night.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can still have that connection. You can still have that beautiful connection with people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We're always changing. Life is always changing. And I think that's the hardest part with people is they need someone to help guide them, encourage them, and let them know that it's okay to change.
Yeah.
That you don't have to be stuck at where you were. That change is a good thing. It's a great thing. If we're not changing, we're not growing, we're not learning. And I think that's another part too, which is why I strongly encourage people to invest in mentors or coaches or dietitians or therapists or someone that kind of can nudge them in a positive direction of where they want to go. Because if you don't really have somebody there with you, chances are it's going to be really tough. Like you probably could get there on your own, but it's going to take a lot longer and you're probably going to struggle getting there. And having that coach or mentor really helps to clarify things and kind of speed up the process because you've already been there before. You've done that cycle. You're done. You're tired of it. You know that it's not working. So let's get out of it.
Right.
Hire someone that's going to help you and move you forward in the direction of where you want to be. Invest in that instead of investing in like, these diet pills and, these infomercials and all that stuff. Like, put your money where your values are and watch your life change.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the biggest thing I can tell people to do.
Yeah, I love what you say too about nudging in a positive direction. Because I think that one of the things that people fear in seeking out work with a dietitian or a therapist or a mentor or somebody is that they're going to be made to feel bad and that I think they're concerned, maybe they're not even aware of this, but worried about their shame being triggered. Because there's so much shame around food and weight and all sorts of things in life. And when you're help around that's scary. So I love that you say that because I think once people do actually seek out this help, they realize that that's not what it's about. It actually really is healing of the shame, and it doesn't add to the shame.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So in working with you, so I have a lot of listeners here today who I'm sure are wondering, like, if I were to reach out to Tony, what would it look like? Like, what would a session with you be like? What could they expect?
Well, they would expect me asking them 1,001 questions because, like I said earlier, I truly individualize the plan to the person. So in order for me to do that, I need to really get a good understanding of who they are, where they're at, what their goals are, what their work-life balance situation looks like. Are they able to cook? What does their kitchen space look like? Like, what foods do they usually like to eat? Do they have any food allergies, intolerances, taking medications, all that stuff? So that's kind of like the stuff we got to get through before we can really get moving. Then after that, it's a high level of accountability. So basically they use an app, and in that app, they're uploading pictures of their food, they're documenting their weight, their measurements, their photos. And I'm looking at it and I'm reviewing and I'm seeing what they're eating every single day. They're able to chat with me in between. It's very interactive because the more kind of hands-on it is, the more they're able to adapt their behaviors. And we first bring awareness and then we can change, right? So the awareness aspect is like they'll start, even though them taking photos of the food is for me to see their portions, to me to see what they're eating, for me to understand their perceived perception of, is this food healthy, not so healthy, or really, really unhealthy? And like it is for me, but really it's more for them, right? If anybody has to track, if you had to like track how much money you were spending every day, you probably wouldn't spend so much money. So it's part of that tracking system. And then every week we get on a video conferencing call together and we discuss what happened this week, what's coming up that we have to prepare for. Like the weekends, I cannot even tell you how many people do perfectly fine during the week, but the weekend is what's sabotaging their efforts, subconsciously or consciously, whatever it is. And we have to plan for that because if you're not planning for it, you're not gonna execute, right? You're not gonna get through the weekend, and you're just gonna keep coming back to Monday, same cycle, and we're breaking that cycle. We don't do cycles when you work with me. We're gonna work through it, right? So a lot of it is reflecting over the week before. talking about what the goals are for the week going forward, planning ahead for any specific events. And it's literally just every single week, either working on the same goal until we're creating a behavior change, or creating new goals to develop another healthier behavior. So an example of that might be, okay, our focus this week is increasing our water. What do you have to do to drink more water? Do you have to buy a case of water and leave it under your desk? Do you have to carry around a refillable water bottle? Do you have to get this little plant app, which is so adorable on your, if you have an iPhone, it's called Plant, water plant or something. Oh, I forget what it's called. But basically, like, you have to water your plant, and if you don't drink a glass of water every like hour or so, your plant dies, and the plant is so cute that you don't want to kill it. Like, it's the cutest looking plant I've ever seen. And you can make your own plant. Like, it's amazing. But yeah, so it's like
technology.
I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, so like, that's just like one little snippet of an example of like, how are we going to really deep dive into that specific goal until it's solidified and then help you get there. So yeah, so that's kind of the basics of kind of how my program works. It's a lot of accountability, weekly check-ins with video conferencing, and unlimited ability to kind of ask me any questions in between. Like one thing that really comes in handy with is like on the weekends when they're going to a restaurant and they want to just take a picture of the menu and like show it to me. And it's like, what do you think? What's the best choice, or what should I choose? That's like really convenient moments of being able to kind of communicate with me in between, kind of catching them before they go, kind of something that might take them off the other end.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like very educational too. I think restaurants can be really challenging because there's so much we don't know about what's in the food.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, there's just so many ingredients that we have no control over. So that's really awesome that they can reach out to you and learn about what's on a menu.
Yeah, my clients are like my everything. They like, I want them to be successful, so I'm going to be there for them until they get to a point where, also another difference with my program, I think, compared to like maybe what other people might do, is like, everyone's different. So some people I work with for 3 months, 6 months, sometimes a year, sometimes 2 months, and they're good to go. But my whole purpose of working with me is to teach them how to eat. So I'm not telling them how to eat. So that example of the restaurant, I might be like, okay, here are 2 healthy options. Which one do you think would be best? Right? It's kind of letting them kind of figure it out on their own and learning. And then I might challenge them on the follow-up calls, like, why did you feel like that was the better option? Well, maybe because there was less sauce. It's in, the dressing I was able to get on the side. It was grilled and not fried. Like, these sort of things that I'm kind of testing their knowledge. So that way I know that in 6 months from now, once they've reached their goals and I kind of let them go, their relationship with food has improved. Their ability to understand what to order, when to eat, how to eat, all that stuff is just, it's a new way of life for them. So it's nothing temporary, right? It's something that they're able to use for a lifetime. And so that's the ultimate goal, is to get them to a place where they're able to do this without my help.
Yeah, right. That's awesome. Yeah, which is kind of like the goal in our work, right? Is not to create a dependence on ourselves, but to teach people the skills that they need to do it on their own.
Exactly.
Empower them. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So when a client reaches out to you, how many sessions do they need to have to reach their goals? And that might be different, but yeah.
It is different. So what I usually do is, I initiate with the weekly check-ins, and then as they're making progress, we kind of like decrease it, right? So I have my weekly we have the weekly sessions, and then I have like, we might switch to bi-weekly, and then we might have like 1 month check-ins with like where they can still use the app and stuff like that. But it's so independent on the person. It really is. Yeah, it really is. I would say on average, like 6 months or so, but it's dependent on the person.
That's actually, 6 months seems pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about how many years you spent kind of stuck in one place, and in 6 months you could figure it all out. It's pretty cool.
Something totally new, and that's awesome. Yeah. Great. So is there something that you would like our listeners here today to know that we haven't talked about today? Something that you would like to share?
I would like to share that before you start any diet, quote unquote diet, or new way of eating or a lifestyle change or anything like that, ask yourself, can I stick to this plan for 6 months or more? If the answer is no, you need another plan. So for example, if it's something that eliminates all carbohydrates and you love carbohydrates, and when you remove carbs, you have no energy and you have poor relationships with your family because you kind of get what's called hangry and you're not having energy for your workout, that's not a sustainable plan. That's not going to help you 6 months from now. Chances are in a month from now, you're not going to stick to it. So you have to ask yourself, is this something that I can stick to for a lifetime? If the answer is no, you got to reevaluate. And if you need help, you can reach out to me and I'd be happy to assist in any way that I can.
Yeah, that's awesome. So if somebody wants to work with you then, if they want to reach out, what do they do? How do they get a hold of you?
So they would have to fill out an application. So if you go to the link in my bio on Instagram or you go to my website, www.tipswithtony.com, you can apply to work with me there. I do also work full-time. So it's an online nutrition counseling business and I work full-time. So there really is limited spots. So I encourage the people who are interested in working with me that they apply today, because chances are those 2 spots are going to be filled by the end of next week. So if they are interested, then they would have to fill out that application. We'll set up that call, and I'm going to assess if they're a good fit for my program. Because like I said, I want them to be successful. So they need to be ready. They need to be good with accountability, and they need to understand that this is a lifestyle change. This is not a quick fix to any goal that they have.
Yeah, that makes so much sense. I mean, that's the best way to kind of be set up for success too, is to do this when you're ready. And that's awesome. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, great. Well, this has been amazing.
Thank you.
I've loved hearing more about your work and what you do. This has just been great. Thank you so much for taking the time today to share with us.
My absolute pleasure. I'm really excited to have you in 2 weeks.
That would be excited to tell you more about what I do too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
Bye. Okay, I hope that you enjoyed that interview. And if you did like to hear the little longer podcast episodes, definitely send me an email, tipswithtony@gmail.com. I want to make sure that I'm providing valuable content and providing you things that you really want to hear, you want to learn more about. So if that resonated with you in any way, please let me know. As always, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter @tipswithtony. And if you have any other questions, just reach out. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Tips with Tony, your registered dietitian, helping you get healthy one bite at a time.